Hey, welcome to a new video from MRM-BODY. And today we're going to talk about a hormone that's honestly foundational to drive, motivation, and physical vitality, testosterone. You know, a lot of folks might be feeling the effects of its decline without even realizing it. Low energy, slow gains in the gym, poor recovery after workouts, maybe even a dip in your mood or that competitive edge. Yeah, it might be your testosterone, but before you start looking to exogenous sources or supplements, I want to present a really compelling case that you actually have immense control over your own self-made testosterone levels just by using some simple, zero-cost and science-backed behavioral tools. The modern world, in so many ways, seems almost engineered to suppress healthy testosterone levels. From our light exposure patterns to what we eat and how stressed we are, we're constantly getting hit with stuff that can disrupt our endocrine system. The good news is, understanding the mechanisms behind testosterone production lets us systematically address all these factors. We're not talking about biohacking with fancy gadgets or expensive pills. This is about fundamental biology. Forget the quick fixes, let's fix it naturally by aligning our daily behaviors with what our hormonal systems are really designed for. In this video, I'm going to lay out a clear, actionable protocol. We'll get into the non-negotiable role of sleep, the specific types of resistance training that trigger hormonal release, the critical importance of dietary fats, and the powerful, yet often overlooked impact of stress management and sunlight exposure. Plus, we'll cover some common daily habits that might be quietly sabotaging your efforts. By the end, you'll have a complete toolkit to naturally optimize your testosterone and, by extension, your overall health and performance. So let's get into it. The single most effective thing anyone can do to support their testosterone and overall hormonal health is, honestly, just to consistently get enough high-quality sleep. This isn't some soft recommendation, it's a biological mandate. The relationship between sleep and testosterone is super direct and honestly really robust. Most of your daily testosterone release is tightly linked to your sleep, especially those deep, slow-wave sleep stages that you tend to get more of in the early part of the night. This whole process is driven by your circadian rhythm, a 24-hour clock that basically tells your body when to produce and release certain hormones. If you mess with this rhythm by sleeping too little, you're directly cutting short the period when your body makes testosterone. One landmark study from the University of Chicago took healthy young men and restricted their sleep to less than 5 hours a night for just 1 week. The results? Pretty staggering. Their daytime testosterone levels dropped by 10 to 15%. To put that into perspective, that's like aging 10 to 15 years in terms of testosterone decline, all from just 1 week of not enough sleep. This isn't some minor blip, it's a significant physiological hit that can mess with your mood, physical performance, and cognitive function. The key takeaway here is that your brain needs a certain amount of time in specific sleep stages to do this hormonal reset. Think of your pituitary gland, which signals the testes to make testosterone, as having a checklist to complete every night. If you wake up too early, it's like leaving the factory before the production line is finished. The goal should be 7 to 9 hours of actual sleep per night. Not just time in bed, but time actually unconscious, cycling through all the necessary stages of sleep. Consistency is crucial here. Going to bed and waking up at the same time every day, even on weekends, really anchors your circadian clock. This regularity makes it so much easier to fall asleep and improves the quality of your sleep overall. When your body knows when to expect rest, it can more efficiently kick off those repair and hormonal regulation processes. This is a behavioral tool that costs nothing but pays off huge, not just for testosterone but across all aspects of your health. Now let's talk about the things that sabotage sleep quality. The main culprit in our modern world is light, especially blue light from screens, viewed at the wrong time of day. Seeing bright light, especially from overhead sources, between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. is the most powerful way to suppress melatonin, the hormone that helps you transition into sleep. This delay in melatonin onset pushes back your whole sleep cycle, reducing how much deep sleep you get, and, as a result, impacting your testosterone release. It's just critical to dim the lights and avoid screens for at least an hour before bed. Another big disruptor is caffeine. Caffeine is a strong adenosine antagonist. Adenosine is a molecule that builds up in your brain the longer you're awake, creating what's called sleep pressure. Caffeine blocks those adenosine receptors, tricking your brain into feeling more awake. While that's useful in the morning, having caffeine in the afternoon or evening can really mess up your ability to fall asleep and degrade your sleep quality. The half-life of caffeine can be 5 to 7 hours, so half of it is still in your system long after you finish your cup. Stopping caffeine by 2 p.m. is a smart move for anyone serious about optimizing sleep. In summary, prioritizing sleep isn't a luxury. It's the foundation of hormonal health. By setting a consistent sleep-wake cycle, managing your light environment, and being mindful of caffeine, you're creating the perfect conditions for your body to naturally produce the testosterone it needs to thrive. Seriously, it's the most powerful lever you can pull, and it's totally within your control. So while sleep sets the hormonal foundation, certain types of physical activity can act as a really powerful, immediate stimulus for testosterone production. Not all exercise is equal here. While cardio is awesome for your heart, it's resistance training, specifically heavy compound lifting, that's been shown in the scientific literature to reliably boost levels of anabolic hormones like testosterone and growth hormone. This is your body's direct adaptive response to a big physical challenge. The key is the type of exercises you do. We're talking about compound movements, multi-joint exercises that work big muscle groups across your whole body, the squat, which hits your entire lower body and core, the deadlift, which works pretty much every muscle from your hands to your feet, and the bench press or overhead press, which targets your chest, shoulders, and triceps. By using so much muscle at once, you send a super strong signal to your nervous system that your body needs to adapt in a big way. Now, the intensity and structure of your workout are really important too. To trigger this hormonal cascade, your session should be high in intensity, but relatively short in duration. We're not talking about 2-hour marathons filled with isolation exercises. The goal is to lift heavy, in a rep range of maybe 4 to 8 reps with enough rest between sets like 2 to 3 minutes so you can give near maximal effort each time. The whole workout should ideally last around 45 to 60 minutes. Going longer can actually spike cortisol, which, as we'll talk about later, is counterproductive. So, what does a good protocol look like? A solid plan would be training 3 to 4 times per week on non-consecutive days to allow for proper recovery and adaptation. For example, you could train Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Each session should focus on 1 or 2 core compound lifts, with a few assistance exercises. Always focus on progressive overload. That means systematically increasing the weight, reps, or sets over time. This ongoing challenge is what really drives your body to adapt and get stronger, a process that's totally mediated by hormones like testosterone. When you do a heavy set of squats, you create tiny tears in your muscle fibers. Your body's response isn't just to fix the damage but to overcompensate, making the muscle stronger and more resilient. This repair process is all about your endocrine system. The stress from the lift triggers a release of testosterone which travels to the muscle cells, binds to androgen receptors, and kicks off muscle protein synthesis. It's honestly a pretty amazing system. But here's a really important caveat. Overtraining is a real risk. More is not always better. Training hard every single day without enough rest leads to chronic stress, high cortisol, and suppressed testosterone. The real growth and hormonal benefits of training happen during recovery, not during the workout itself. That's why rest days, along with good sleep and nutrition, are non-negotiable. So, listen to your body. If you're feeling fatigued, performing poorly, or just lacking motivation, it might be time for more recovery. Focus on quality over quantity. A session with 5 sets of 5 heavy squats followed by 3 sets of 8 pull-ups and some core work is way more hormonally beneficial than a 90-minute session of bicep curls and tricep pushdowns. The goal is to give your body a strong but brief message. You need to be strong and capable. By embracing heavy compound lifts and giving your body the recovery it needs, you're using training as a powerful tool to naturally boost your body's anabolic signals. Now that we've covered how to signal for more testosterone through sleep and training, we really need to make sure our body has the raw materials to actually produce it. This is where nutrition, and specifically dietary fat, comes into play. There's been a ton of confusion and misinformation about dietary fats over the last few decades, but from a hormonal perspective, the science is super clear. Testosterone is synthesized from cholesterol. So, getting enough healthy fats and cholesterol isn't just helpful, it's absolutely essential for optimal endocrine function. Let's break down the biochemistry a bit. Cholesterol is a lipid, a type of fat molecule, that acts as the precursor for all steroid hormones in your body. That includes testosterone but also estrogen, cortisol, and DHEA. Think of cholesterol as the basic building block. Without enough of it, your body's hormone production factory just can't run at full capacity. This is why very low-fat diets have been shown over and over in clinical studies to significantly lower circulating testosterone levels in men. The key is picking the right kinds of fats. We're definitely not talking about a diet high in processed trans fats or too much saturated fat from low-quality sources. Instead, focus on a mix of monounsaturated and polyunsaturated fats with a good amount of saturated fat from whole food sources. Great sources of these healthy fats include avocados, which are packed with monounsaturated fats, extra virgin olive oil, nuts and seeds like almonds, walnuts, and chia seeds, and fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines, which are loaded with omega-3 fatty acids. Now what about dietary cholesterol itself? For years it got a bad rap, but we now know that for most people, the cholesterol you eat barely affects your blood cholesterol. Your liver actually makes most of the cholesterol in your body and will slow down its own production if you eat more. Foods that are rich in cholesterol are often nutrient-dense too. Whole eggs, especially the yolks, are a great example. The yolk has cholesterol but also choline, vitamin D, and other micronutrients that support hormonal health. A practical approach is to make sure about 20 to 30% of your total daily calories come from healthy fat sources. You don't have to track every gram, honestly. It's more about a mindset shift. Instead of reaching for low-fat or fat-free foods, which are usually packed with sugar and refined carbs to make up for lost flavor, go for the full-fat, whole food version. Add a tablespoon of olive oil to your salad, snack on a handful of almonds, or toss a few whole eggs into your breakfast. It's also important to look at your overall diet. Supporting testosterone isn't just about adding fats, it's about what those fats come with. A diet rich in micronutrients from a variety of colorful veggies and fruits, with enough protein for muscle repair and complex carbs to fuel your workouts and support thyroid function, creates the best internal environment. Starvation or extreme calorie restriction is a huge stressor that will signal your body to downregulate non-essential functions, including reproductive and hormonal health. So the protocol is simple: don't fear fat. Embrace healthy fats as a key part of your diet. By giving your body the building blocks it needs through foods like eggs, avocados, olive oil, and fatty fish, you're directly fueling testosterone production. This nutritional strategy, paired with sleep and training, creates a powerful synergy for optimizing your hormonal landscape from the inside out. We have now established the pillars of sleep, training, and nutrition. However, there is a powerful antagonist that can undermine all of your efforts: chronic stress. The primary hormone associated with the stress response is cortisol. While cortisol is essential for life, it helps regulate blood sugar, reduce inflammation, and manage the fight-or-flight response. Chronically elevated levels are devastating for testosterone. There is an inverse, seesaw-like relationship between cortisol and testosterone. When one goes up, the other tends to go down. This relationship is rooted in shared biochemistry and resource allocation. Both cortisol and testosterone are produced from the same precursor molecule, pregnenolone. Think of it as a fork in the road in your body's hormonal production line. When your body perceives a state of chronic stress, be it from work deadlines, financial worries, relationship issues, or even excessive doom scrolling on your phone, it prioritizes survival. This means it shunts the available pregnenolone down the pathway to produce cortisol, the survival hormone, leaving less available to be converted into testosterone, the thrive hormone. This is a brilliant evolutionary mechanism for short-term threats. If you're being chased by a lion, you don't need to worry about building muscle or reproduction, you need to survive. The problem is that our modern world bombards us with psychological stressors that trigger this same ancient pathway, but on a continuous basis. The constant low-grade anxiety of checking emails, social media notifications, and news alerts keeps our cortisol levels perpetually elevated, creating a physiological environment that is actively hostile to healthy testosterone levels. The good news is that just as we can use behavioral tools to support testosterone, we can use them to actively lower cortisol. You have direct, conscious control over your stress response system. Practices like meditation, mindfulness, and specific breathing techniques have been robustly shown to shift the state of the autonomic nervous system from a sympathetic fight-or-flight state to a parasympathetic rest and digest state. This shift directly corresponds to a reduction in cortisol output. One of the most accessible and powerful tools is cyclic sighing or physiological sighing. This involves 2 sharp inhales through the nose followed by a long, complete exhale through the mouth. Just 1 to 3 repetitions of this can have an immediate and measurable effect on calming your nervous system. Committing to a brief daily practice, even just 5 to 10 minutes of meditation or deliberate breath work, can significantly lower your baseline cortisol levels over time. This isn't about eliminating stress, which is impossible, but about improving your ability to manage it and return to a calm baseline more quickly. Another critical component of stress management is reducing your exposure to unnecessary stressors. This might mean setting firm boundaries around your work hours, curating your social media feeds to be more positive, or consciously deciding to disengage from the 24-hour news cycle. Each time you consciously choose to step away from a source of anxiety, you are casting a vote for a lower cortisol, higher testosterone environment within your own body. It's about taking inventory of your daily inputs and pruning what doesn't serve your well-being. Ultimately, managing stress is not a soft skill. It is a physiological necessity for anyone looking to optimize their hormonal health. By understanding the antagonistic relationship between cortisol and testosterone, and by implementing simple daily practices like breathwork, meditation, and mindful disengagement, you can take direct control of this hormonal seesaw. You can actively shift your body's resources away from chronic survival mode and back towards growth, recovery, and vitality. There is a powerful and often overlooked environmental factor that directly influences testosterone production: sunlight. Specifically, the exposure of our skin to UVB radiation from the sun initiates the synthesis of vitamin D. For a long time, vitamin D was primarily associated with bone health, but a growing body of research has revealed its crucial role as a steroid hormone that regulates a vast number of bodily processes, including the function of the reproductive system. In fact, vitamin D receptors are found in the cells of the testes that are responsible for producing testosterone. The correlation between vitamin D levels and testosterone levels is remarkably strong. Multiple large-scale observational studies have shown that men with higher levels of vitamin D also have significantly higher levels of circulating testosterone. While correlation does not equal causation, intervention studies have helped to solidify this link. One study published in the journal Hormone and Metabolic Research took men with low testosterone and vitamin D deficiency and supplemented them with vitamin D for a year. The results showed a significant increase in their total and free testosterone levels compared to the placebo group. This highlights the direct mechanistic link. When vitamin D binds to its receptors in the testes, it appears to influence the expression of genes involved in the testosterone synthesis pathway. Essentially, having sufficient vitamin D levels ensures that the machinery for testosterone production can operate efficiently. A deficiency, which is incredibly common, particularly in individuals living in northern latitudes or those who spend most of their time indoors, can act as a bottleneck, limiting your body's ability to produce testosterone, even if all other factors like sleep and nutrition are optimized. The most natural, effective, and zero-cost way to ensure adequate vitamin D levels is through sensible sun exposure. Our bodies are designed to produce this hormone in response to sunlight. The goal should be to get approximately 15 to 20 minutes of direct sun exposure on a large surface area of your skin, think arms, legs, and torso, around midday when UVB rays are most intense. The exact duration will vary depending on your skin type, geographical location, and the time of year. The key is to get enough exposure to stimulate production without burning. This act of getting sunlight has benefits that extend beyond just vitamin D synthesis. Getting bright light exposure in your eyes, particularly in the early part of the day, is the single most powerful stimulus for anchoring your circadian rhythm. As we discussed in the first chapter, a stable circadian rhythm is foundational for the nightly release of testosterone. So, a short walk outside in the morning sun provides a dual benefit. It helps set your internal clock for better sleep, and it kicks off the process of vitamin D production in your skin. Now, it is true that for some individuals, particularly during winter months or for those with darker skin pigmentation, which naturally blocks more UVB, achieving optimal levels through sun alone can be challenging. In these cases, a blood test is the only way to truly know your vitamin D status. If a deficiency is confirmed, supplementation might be warranted. However, the focus of this protocol is on behavioral tools that require no supplements. The primary and most evolutionarily consistent tool for vitamin D is the sun. Therefore, make a deliberate effort to incorporate sunlight into your daily routine. Take a walk during your lunch break, do some yard work, or simply sit outside for a few minutes. View sunlight not just as a pleasant aspect of the weather, but as a critical nutritional input for your hormonal system. By harnessing the power of the sun, you are engaging with a fundamental biological process that has supported human health for millennia, and you are providing your body with a key ingredient for robust testosterone production. We've now built a comprehensive protocol for naturally boosting testosterone. However, it's equally important to identify and eliminate the habits that are actively working against you. You can have perfect sleep, training, and nutrition, but if you're engaging in certain behaviors that suppress your endocrine system, you'll be constantly fighting an uphill battle. Let's shine a light on some of the most common and often subtle testosterone killers in our daily lives. First on the list is alcohol consumption. While a single drink on occasion is unlikely to have a significant long-term impact, chronic or binge drinking is profoundly detrimental to testosterone. Alcohol directly affects the Leydig cells in the testes, which are responsible for testosterone production, impairing their function. It also increases the conversion of testosterone into estrogen, further tilting your hormonal balance in the wrong direction. Furthermore, alcohol consumption, especially in the evening, severely disrupts sleep architecture, suppressing REM and deep sleep, thereby sabotaging that critical nightly hormonal reset we discussed earlier. Next is a surprising one: poor posture. While it may seem unrelated, your posture can have a direct impact on your hormonal profile. Research from social psychologist Amy Cuddy has shown that adopting high-power poses, expansive open postures like standing tall with your shoulders back, can lead to a 20% increase in testosterone and a 25% decrease in cortisol after just 2 minutes. Conversely, low-power poses like slouching over a phone or desk had the opposite effect. While the magnitude of this effect is debated, the underlying principle is sound. Your body and mind are in constant feedback with each other. Carrying yourself in a contracted, defeated posture sends signals of submission and stress to your brain, which can be reflected in your endocrinology. Overtraining, which we touched on earlier, deserves its own specific warning. The more is better mindset is a trap. Pushing your body through grueling workouts day after day without sufficient rest leads to a state of systemic inflammation and chronically elevated cortisol. Your body perceives this as a state of perpetual threat and, as we know, prioritizes cortisol production over testosterone. The goal of training is to provide a stimulus and then allow for adaptation. Without the adaptation phase, you're just accumulating damage. Rest days are not a sign of weakness. They are a critical part of the training cycle where the real progress happens. Finally, we must consider our environmental exposure to endocrine-disrupting chemicals. One of the most pervasive is bisphenol A, or BPA, and other similar compounds found in many plastics. These chemicals can leach from food containers, water bottles, and can linings into what we consume. BPA is a xenoestrogen, meaning it can mimic the effects of estrogen in the body, disrupting the delicate hormonal balance required for optimal testosterone. While avoiding all plastics is nearly impossible, simple steps like using glass or stainless steel water bottles and food containers, and avoiding microwaving food in plastic, can significantly reduce your exposure. These habits, excessive alcohol, poor posture, overtraining, and exposure to plastics, may seem small in isolation, but their cumulative effect can be significant. Each one acts as a small leak in the bucket you're trying so hard to fill. By becoming mindful of these T-killers and actively working to mitigate them, you are removing the brakes that have been holding your hormonal health back. It's about creating a lifestyle that is holistically supportive of the vitality you are trying to cultivate. This process of elimination is just as important as the process of addition. It's about clearing the path for your body to do what it's naturally designed to do. You are removing the friction that the modern world has introduced. By being a vigilant gatekeeper of what you consume, how you move, and how you recover, you complete the puzzle of natural testosterone optimization. Becoming aware of these negative inputs is the first and most crucial step. Audit your daily routines. Do you finish your day with a few beers to unwind? Do you spend hours hunched over a screen? Are you pushing through workouts even when you're exhausted? Are you still drinking from that old plastic water bottle? Making small, conscious changes in these areas can yield disproportionately large benefits for your hormonal health, allowing the positive habits we've discussed to have their full, intended effect. So let's bring it all together. We've journeyed through the science of sleep, the power of specific training, the necessity of dietary fats, the art of stress management, and the importance of sunlight. We've also identified the common habits that can silently sabotage your progress. Boosting testosterone isn't about finding a magic pill or a secret hack. It's about understanding that your body is an integrated system, and your hormones are a reflection of how well that system is functioning. It's about getting your body back in sync with its fundamental biological needs. The beautiful thing about this protocol is that these pillars are synergistic. Getting morning sunlight improves your sleep. Better sleep gives you the energy to train hard. Hard training improves your insulin sensitivity, making you better at utilizing the healthy foods you eat. A nutrient-dense diet and proper stress management provide the resources and the right internal environment for recovery and growth. Each element supports and amplifies the others, creating a powerful, positive feedback loop that enhances not just your testosterone, but your entire sense of well-being, drive, and resilience. My goal today was to empower you with knowledge and a set of zero-cost, actionable tools. Start with one thing. Maybe it's fixing your bedtime, maybe it's adding 2 sessions of heavy lifting to your week, or maybe it's just taking a 10-minute walk outside at lunch. Don't get overwhelmed, just begin. Fix your sleep, train smart, fuel your body right, and learn to consciously chill out. By consistently applying these principles, you are taking profound control over your own biology and laying the foundation for a lifetime of vitality. Thank you for your time and attention, and don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell, and leave a comment below to let us know your thoughts and progress.